Hey, this is Heidi Fish. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope everyone's having a great weekend. I was thinking today about how a lot of people are probably spending time with their families over this weekend, or will definitely be this summer. And it got me thinking to how family situations and get togethers can be kind of stressful. And I wanted to share two situations or things that generally have happened to me and how I have overcome them for the most part. It's a journey, right? So I feel like there's two main things that come up for people when they spend time with their parents or their in laws, and that's old patterns resurface, or your parents kind of drive you crazy and you don't know how to deal with it. So I'll address that one first. I want to tell you a quick story about my mother. So when the girls were young, they had come to visit, and we had just spent a super long day at the hospital, and we were tired, and it was like literally all day. Not at the hospital, at clinics, just appointment after appointment, super long day. And we were going to be making dinner, and my mom and I had a disagreement on making mashed potatoes and which bowl they should be used in, like where you should use the beater. So we ended up getting an argument, and then later that night, it was like super awkward through dinner. And later that night, my mom and I were sitting near each other in the living room, and I said, Mom, I'm really sorry. Like, I was tired, I was hungry, it was a long day. And she was just like, and basically, like, didn't apologize, didn't act like an adult, and later told my dad how that she was right and I was wrong about which bowl should be used. I'm like, that's not the point, Mom. It's about, like, being an adult and compromising, and who cares which bowl, right? And so I used to let things like that just like drive me crazy, because I felt like my mom was always trying to control the little things in my life, like in my territory. And what my life coach, Tracy Hogum, at the time helped me realize was that I needed to focus on the things that I loved about my mom when I was with her, rather than focusing on those negative, irritating things, because gratitude cannot exist at the same time as like irritation and frustration and anger. So if you're focusing on the gratitude, you can't be frustrated. And getting frustrated at every little thing when my mom was visiting was only making my time unenjoyable. And so now I just focus on how great she is with the girls and how much she loves to play with them and all of the amazing things she's done for me and she does for my family. And I don't notice all the things as much. Like, I just let her like do what she needs to do, and it's just not as big of a deal. So really, like, as you're going into a weekend with your parents, if this is a situation for you that surfaces, maybe not the exact thing, but something that bothers you about your parents, think about what you can be grateful for ahead of time and really be focusing on that the whole time. And as soon as something starts to drive you crazy, switch back to that place of gratitude. The other situation that is always hard for me is old patterns, right? So if you've kind of broken away from family patterns as far as, drinking alcohol or lifestyle habits or how you eat or whatever it may be for you, and you like are in this really good place in your life, and then you go back home and it like all goes out the window, and you drink every night with them, or you eat a bunch of junk food that makes you feel like crap, whatever it may be. It's a really hard situation for me, because I'm like, oh, it's just the weekend, but then I just like feel gross, and I also feel like I'm not respecting my own values and my own standards. So I've started to be consistent with those things around my family. And for example, we don't give our girls soda. And the last time we were with my mom asked if she could make them some like kitty cocktail type thing with soda. And I said, no, I'd rather you don't. And she was like, okay. And she was totally cool with it. And it may not always be that easy. You might get some pushback from your family, but you can either succumb to the pressure and going back to their patterns and have resentment towards them, or you can stand up for your own beliefs and that love you have for your body and your health or whatever that may be, and learn to work through their discomfort with the changes you've made. And they will come around at some point. They may never do what you do, but they will learn to accept that that's the way you are, because you hold consistent to those standards, and you don't hold resentment to them, and you just say, this is how I do it, and I respect what you do, and this is what I do. And always make sure that you're approaching those situations from a place of love and care, like don't get angry and defensive about it. And they'll come around to letting you do what you need to do. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend with your family and are able to stay in a place of gratitude and not fall back into old patterns. So happy Memorial Day, and thank you so much for all the men and women who have served our country.